Hey everyone, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for December Daily. This is story number 14. Hey everyone, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for hanging out with me for story number 13 and my December 14, in my December Daily album. Today I am working on the story of Nora's PTA event at school, Cookies and Canvas, and I'm just showing you some of the things that I've pulled that I might be using, including these stamps and the gold puffy numbers, and the frames are already on the paper with the photos pre-sized to fit inside. These photo frames are actually from, I think, last year's December Stories by the Month kit, if I'm not mistaken, or it might be November's. But the colors match perfectly, and I haven't used them. I think I've used one of them, but they are red, pink, and green. And I thought they would pop really nicely against this really bright, busy pattern paper. So I'm just going to use really thin, I think it's like a 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch score tape to adhere the photo to the back of the frame, and then use my larger, I think this is maybe 1/2 inch score tape to adhere it to the patterned paper. And so there's 3 photos, and I purposely chose to size down the ones I wanted based on how busy and what type of photo it was. So for example, the picture I'm working on right now is all of the students who completed the Canvas picture. I cropped it so that I could get Nora in that photo. And she's not even looking at the camera, but it's the only one I had of all the kids together. So I thought it made the most sense to use this one for the square-shaped frame. And then I wanted to feature the photo of Nora painting her little picture, so that's why I made it the larger one and put it on its own separate side of this spread. So the paper I just trimmed down to be on one side, it's the 7 by 8 1/4, and then on the other side, it's whatever's left on of the letter size. So I believe it's about 4 inches and then 8 1/4. So I knew I wanted to bring in scallop shapes because that's one of the motifs this year, and I love scallops. And I had toyed around with using the plastic scalloped square like die cut pieces, but they blended in way too much with the pattern paper. So I decided to stamp my own on just some white basil cardstock that I have. And using my Distress Oxide inks, I have, what is that? Lumberjack? No, that's Barn Door red, and then Spun Sugar for the pink, and then the green is an archival ink. And then once I get those stamped onto the cardstock, I'm going to have to fussy cut around them. But right now you can see I'm trying to figure out what size tags I want where. So I decided to do 2 of the rectangular tags on the left and then the square one on the right. I had no idea what I was going to put on these tags. I figured one would have journaling and then the other one would have the number. And then I decided in the end to stamp out the title on the top red tag. I edited out the fussy cutting part, but you can see I also fussy cut an old die cut phrase I had from last year that said love and joy. I thought I was going to use it, but I end up not using it. I'm glad because I wasn't super convinced that it looked right, especially I didn't want to compete with the pattern paper. I love all the color and the ho 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 repeated, so I didn't want to really cover much of that up at all. And in the end, because I used this rickrack I don't even need to use that die cut. So it works out just fine. So I've found some red, some pink, and then some blue, I think. Oh no, green, sorry. Green ribbon. And they coordinate obviously with the stamped inks. Trim them down. And I realized, yeah, I don't need to use this joy. I kept trying to like move it around on the different tags and see, oh, will it look good here? Will it look good here? And then I'm like, no, stop trying to make it happen. I say this in my planner videos a lot. Like, it's like trying to make fetch happen, you know, love a good Mean Girls reference. It's not happening. It doesn't need to be happening. And just, you need to just let it go. So that's what I do. I eventually am like, okay, we're just not going to use this joy. We cut apart the die cut phrase, but that's okay. And I actually end up using it in a different story, so it works out just fine. So you can see I'm like trying to audition the love. I thought I was going to spread out the joy and like the ampersand sign or the plus sign and then the love. But in the end, I end up scrapping that and decide to do some embossing, which I think adds the perfect pop of gold and also doesn't compete with the pattern paper at all. I think it actually complements it. So I'm really, really glad that I decided to do it. At the time, I was kind of feeling, I've been sick. So I got sick again. I don't know if you've been following me for a while, but we were sick pretty much from September to November. And then I was better. And now I'm sick again. But I was kind of like not wanting to do the extra steps of embossing. I'm really glad I decided to do it though, because I think that this looks very cohesive, clean, and just, yeah, it looks really nice all together, especially with like the pop of gold embossing that's already on the chipboard frames. And then I'm going to add the gold scallop trim on the right side of the story. So I think it all ties together really nicely. Right now I'm just trying to figure out what stamps I want to use. And this is when I decide, oh, I'm going to do a little bit of embossing, use the heart stamp, and then put the number in the middle. And that's what's going to go on the square tag that I already have there. Now I'm going to use one of these heart stamps to do the little embossing. One of my favorite things about creating these pages is having an idea that evolves as you're creating. To me, that's very exciting. And a lot of art is the process and not the product, the finished product. In this case, obviously, us as scrapbookers, we want our stories to look a certain way and to be told in a certain way. But also the actual process of creating and the way what you think or your original idea changes as you are creating is so much fun for me. So I love that I chose to emboss this little heart, and that leaves just enough room for me to put the gold puffy numbers, the 1 and the 4. They fit inside there so perfectly. It's very satisfying to emboss. So you saw that I used my static pouch, which leaves like a chalky residue on whatever you're stamping on. And then I use a dry brush to get rid of any powder that I don't want to stick to the paper. Emboss it with my heat tool and then put the numbers down. And just to reinforce them, they are stickers, but I like to use my glue pen to add just a little bit of extra adhesive, because especially with it being outside the page protector and hopefully people at some point will look at these pages, I don't want the numbers to go, get lost or pop off. I'm going to use word phrases from this Advent sticker sheet, and then I'm going to pull out some chipboard hearts that I have in my stash from Ellie Edwards, and these puffy, like cookie puffy stickers are from Crate Paper's Busy Sidewalks collection. This word phrase sticker says, "To me, it's perfect." Then I'm going to put a little Christmas tree cookie and then a white chipboard heart. And that's going to complete the right side. And I like to have like a little trio of embellishments. By trio, I mean like a formula. So I'm also going to do the same thing to the other two photos. I chose Love This Story on the square photo, a candy cane sticker, and a chipboard heart. And then on the top photo of Nora and her two friends, I chose All Is Bright, and then the hot chocolate with the whipped cream as the puffy sticker, and then another little white chipboard heart. So now I'm going to take these wonky alphabet sticker or stamps. I love these stamps. They're my favorite. And I am inspired by the fun pattern paper and by seeing other folks just do some really big, imperfect stamping. I don't know if you've seen anybody do that, but they will take stamps and stamp out entire lyrics to songs or quotes from movies or titles like I'm doing in this case, and just stamp it to make it fit in whatever paper you're using. And in this case, it's just this teeny little tag. And so I'm going to squeeze cookies and canvas spelled out on the tag. And it's not, it's like wherever you have room is where you stamp. So I ran out of room after I stamped the I, so I just moved on to the next row to stamp ES, then left a teeny little space, the ampersand sign, and then had room for the C, and then did a third row that has the ANVAS, and it does overlap, and it does look kind of crowded and maybe a little hard to read. Like if you didn't know that it was cookies and canvas, you might not know what the last word was, but it's fine. I don't mind it at all. I actually like it. I also really like that there's gold embossing on the top left, and then I'm going to stamp documenting the good stuff and emboss that on the other rectangle tag, and then the embossed heart on the right. So it's sort of a visual triangle, and it uses the gold embossed powder effect, and I really, really love the end result. The documenting the good stuff is very, like, I must have stamped kind of put too much pressure, so the letters sort of blend in with each other. It's such a tiny stamp, but I know what it says, and I think if you looked like in person you can see it, but maybe in the photos and on camera it just looks really blurry, and it is kind of squished together, but again, I don't mind, and I love the effect that it has and the way that the gold plays off of the other gold elements in the story. I do my journaling off camera so that my head's not in the way, but I wrote, "Cookies and canvas is always fun, and this year was no different. Mrs. M, your art teacher, led the event. You made a snowy, cozy painting with a little red house and some fluffy white clouds. No gluten cookies for you, so I ate your portion. It was a win-win." And that's going to complete story number 14. Take a look at the finished close-ups in real time and the way that it looks in the album. So pretty. And I think I'm almost done with volume 1. I've decided to go to story 16 in this album, and then I can start volume 2 when I return from seeing my in-laws in Michigan over Christmas break. So I'll probably be finished by the end of January, beginning of February. So friends, like this video if you did, subscribe if you're not, and hit the bell so you don't miss my content. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Take care of yourselves, and remember that you are enough. Bye.